What's going on, it's Suck and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech. Now in today's video I shall be showing you what results I got when benchmarking the most expensive maximum spec model of the 2020 MacBook Air. As always, the full specification for this particular MacBook Air can be found in the video description, and as always I will be uploading a video in which I compare all of these models. So if you are new around here, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified of when that goes live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So the first test that I conducted on this MacBook Air was to run Geekbench 5. Now Geekbench gives a score for both single and multi-threaded tasks, and after these have then been performed, it will then give a score based on its performance and the time taken to perform them. Now for Geekbench 5, I got a single core score of 1016, whereas I got a multi-core score of 2598. Now once again, using Geekbench 5, I ran their compute test to see how well the OpenGR engine would run through Geekbench, and as you can see I got a score of 8108. The next test that I ran on this machine was once again from Geekbench's compute lineup of tests, and it was designed to test out how well the Metal engine ran on this MacBook Air. Now with the Metal test, I got a score of 7497. The next set of tests that I ran were once again from Geekbench, but this time they're slightly older set of tests found in Geekbench 4. Now these run very similarly to Geekbench 5, running single and multi-threaded tasks and giving a score based on its performance and the time taken to perform them. Now with Geekbench 4, I got a single core score of 4925, whereas I got a multi-core score of 13491. Like I had done previously, I ran the compute test through Geekbench 5 to see what the OpenGR and Metal test scores would be like. So for the OpenGR side of things, I got a score of 48,513, whereas when testing the Metal graphics engine, I got a score of 39,091. The next test that I ran was from GFX Bench Metal. Now this is used to run a number of different tests which vary from both higher and lower levels of graphical intensity, and in the interest of saving time I've calculated the average of each individual result, but of course I will show you each individual result. So the average that I got for the higher intensive task was 47.94, whereas for the lower intensity tasks I got a score of 102.52. So after running those tests, I then thought it would be a good idea to find out how this 2TB SSD in the MacBook Air would perform. So I pulled out a disk speed test and ran the program. Now with this I got a read speed of 2402 megabytes per second and a write speed of 2753 megabytes per second. Next up we have NovaBench. Now NovaBench is a good general benchmarking test, as it not only tests the CPU and the GPU, but it also tests the storage and the system memory. Now the score that I got for this test was 1419. I then chose to perform a basic network speed test and got a download speed of 210 megabytes per second with an upload speed of 20.8 megabytes per second. Next I ran Cinebench. Cinebench is a good benchmarking program as it tests each individual thread of the processor and then gives a score similarly to how Geekbench gives its scores based on time taken to complete a task. The score that I got for this MacBook Air was 1020. Next I did a timed export with Final Cut Pro exporting a 5-minute 24-second video file to H.264 at both Full HD 1920 by 1080 and UHD 4K 3840 by 2160. It is also worth noting that with this test I did turn off background rendering. Now the HD export came in faster, as you would expect, at 4 minutes and 54 seconds, whereas it took slightly longer to export the 4K video file at 5 minutes and 24 seconds. I shall be uploading a video at some point in the future where I'll compare the performance of the i3, the i5 and the i7 models when it comes to video exporting. But we've got no surprises here, with the Full HD export coming in slightly faster than the 4K export. The last series of tests that I performed came from Unigen. The first of these was their Heaven benchmarking test, which is a heavy CPU and GPU test which will give a general score on its performance and then an average frame rate for when rendering out a particular scene. Now for this particular test I got an average frame rate of 23.2 frames per second and a score of 583. Once again, from Unigen benchmarking tools, the last test that I performed was their Valley test, which performs a similar set of tests to the previous one. Now with this, I got an average frame rate of 22 frames per second and a score of 920. So that'll be all for today's video. Of course, if you are new around here and are yet to do so, then be sure to subscribe, clicking the bell icon to be notified of when I upload any of my future videos. Of course, if you have got any questions with anything you've seen in today's video, then be sure to leave them down below in the comment section, or alternatively you can hit me up on my social media, links to which can be found down below in the description. Once again, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.